Everything is going electric. Cars, delivery vans, buses, garbage trucks, and more are rapidly evolving to a battery-powered future. With the technology going mainstream, the EV revolution is also making waves in the world of boating.
They have surveys of why people go out in boats, and among the top 5 reasons is connecting with nature and connecting with family and friends. And those both go so much better when you can actually hear all of them.
General Motors recently invested $150 million in Seattle-based startup Pure Watercraft.
We're bringing a lot of what it takes to develop a vehicle from our automotive expertise into the marine industry.
We are able to extend the investment that they've made to an entire new category and to deliver what we've always set out to do, which is a better product to the customer for about the same cost of what they're paying today.
Several other upstarts are also working to bring their own electric boats to market. The introduction of zero-emission watercraft is significant. Boats and the engines they use can be big polluters.
Traditional gas outboards are far more pollutant even than a car would be burning the same number of gallons of gas.
The EPA started to require catalytic converters in inboard and stern drive boats beginning in 2011. And because of that, a lot of boats that could be either inboard or outboard switched to outboards to avoid the pollution controls.
And electric systems are more efficient than their internal combustion counterparts.
About 8% of the energy in the gasoline ends up pushing the boat, and 92% does things you don't want, like turbulence, noise, and heat.
The boating industry is seeing renewed popularity. Sales of power boats were up 12% in 2020, with more than 310,000 new sales, the highest numbers since before the 2008 recession.
During the pandemic, the average age of boat buyer has fallen for the first time in decades, and a new population is looking to go boating. Right now we're going about 3.5 miles an hour, and the boat is using 400 watts. So about the power of 4 old incandescent light bulbs.
Boating is a segment that's a natural fit for electrification.
An electric motor is built for this. It has a wide efficient band, efficient at every RPM, full torque at 0 RPM right when it starts up. So this is exactly what electric motors are good at.
Many fishing communities are actually pushing for electrification and doing all electric fishing leagues.
They've done studies of what the life is in the lake near those fuel depots on Lake Tahoe, and everything's dead nearby.
Like electric vehicles, switching to an electric boat motor reduces the need for maintenance.
Our coolant system is permanently sealed, so it never has to be topped off. Our oil in our gear set is permanently sealed in that gear set. All of these things are things that need to be serviced often in a gas outboard.
The reduced maintenance, the ease of ownership will actually end up potentially being cheaper for the end consumer over the lifetime of the product.
And the infrastructure is already in place to allow for charging.
Most public marinas have power pedestals on the docks already. They don't have to install new power lines to charge boats.
But converting a boat to electric isn't as straightforward as dropping in a battery and a motor from a car. The amount of energy required to move through water is far greater than what a vehicle on the ground experiences.
The faster you go, the more drag there is. The big challenge there is, okay, well, how do we get a battery that's energy dense enough that it really makes sense to put this weight, because the boat is a lot more sensitive to weight than a car might be.
The energy density of batteries is improving by about 7% a year, and the cost per kilowatt hour is going down by about 7% a year. So with time, it's inevitable that all these boats are going to switch to electric.
With the success of Tesla, many have their sights set on doing the same in the boating industry. Some are even following the automaker's strategy, starting at the high end before developing mass market products. ARC, founded by former SpaceX employees, announced its first boat last summer. The ARC 1 is a 24-foot vessel with a top speed around 40 miles per hour that can operate for about 4 hours cruising. It plans to sell the limited edition boat for $300,000. Xshore, a Swedish startup, is also selling a high-end boat in the same price range with similar performance. The company said it started customer deliveries of its Elex 8000 in early 2021 and has plans to open a new factory in Sweden with the capacity to build over 400 boats a year. Another Swedish startup, Condella, has developed a hydrofoil electric boat.
Instead of using this energy to make waves and to push through the water, we actually disconnect from the water and only have a very small surface that is submerged. We use only 20% of the energy that a similar boat will use to do the same speed.
Because of this, the company uses a small 45 kilowatt-hour battery pack from a BMW i3 electric car.
We try to make the boat as efficient as possible, as light as possible, and then use a small battery to do 50 nautical mile a day, a boat that will be pushing water and creating wave. To do 22 knots for 2.5 hours, you would need a battery that is probably 5 times bigger.
The company has been shipping its C7 boat and is getting ready to start deliveries of its new C8 this summer.
The first boat was delivered in 2018, and we sold 30 of them worldwide. So we have 8 of the C7s in the United States, and we have almost 100 C8 pre-ordered, including probably 25% of them coming to the US.
It's expensive though, costing around $395,000 for the C8. One company has developed electric offerings that compete closely with its gas counterparts. Andy Rebele, a former software engineer who sold his internet startup during the dot-com boom, was inspired by the Tesla Roadster back in 2008.
I thought, wow, if battery propulsion can do that for a car, it must be able to make a boat. And nobody was doing that. The only boats I could find that were electric were slow.
Pure Watercraft, founded in 2011, has developed an electric outboard motor that can power skiffs, fishing boats, and other small vessels for between $16,500 to $25,000.
We built an electric outboard motor that replaces up to a 40 or 50 horsepower gas outboard.
And you have batteries that you can daisy chain together with our cables.
There weren't great high voltage battery packs available for us to purchase when we started the company, so we developed our own battery pack. We developed everything from the motor to the motor controller to the propeller even, which got us a much better efficiency than what we could get off the shelf.
At CES this year, Pure announced a partnership with General Motors to create an electric pontoon boat, combining GM's Ultium battery with Pure's outboard motor.
Our battery packs are designed to essentially fit like a slab, like a skateboard, under the main structure of the vehicle. This really well translates into the architecture of a pontoon.
The GM project is really about taking their battery and taking a lot of their components, pairing it with our motors, and then putting it into a pontoon boat that we can sell.
Pricing is between $45,000 and $60,000, depending on single or dual motor configuration. A comparable gas pontoon costs around $25,000 to $60,000.
Right now, we can hit price parity on certain boat types. That will only improve.
GM explored working with a number of partners, but ultimately decided to work with a new entrant over a traditional boat manufacturer.
We took about 2.5 years to identify Pure as our ideal partner. Our vision for the future and our vision for what this opportunity was never quite lined up with an existing boat manufacturer, at least not on the time scale that we thought it ought to be achieved in.
The partnership with General Motors will enable better access to parts and suppliers.
We're able to get automotive quality and volume components built at prices that we could never achieve at our volume.
Batteries, motors, our testing capabilities, our customer know-how, our manufacturing expertise, all of those attributes we can bring to accelerate the work that Pure is achieving today.
Following in Tesla's footsteps, Pure is doing direct-to-customer sales and plans to offer mobile service.
We have our mobile field techs in vans that show up at the customer's location and do that service for them on site. And they're staffed by Pure Watercraft, so they know exactly what they're doing.
The pandemic has renewed interest in outdoor recreation, and boating has seen its popularity rise. The global recreational boating market was valued at $29 billion in 2019 and is projected to reach $35.4 billion by 2027.
We've seen right around 10% growth year over year in pontoon boat volumes sold every year for about 15 years. This was even before COVID hit.
And for companies that focus on the motor, such as Pure, the outboard engine market is forecasted to exceed $17 billion by 2025.
People are buying an electric car and they're buying an electric lawnmower. Now the only thing they're buying gas for is their boat. They're ready now to look for an electric boat alternative.
Electric boats aren't just arriving for recreational and personal craft. Larger vessels are already sailing, with more in development.
A ferry boat that has a half-an-hour run and then waits and then offloads, unloads people, and then comes back half an hour back and forth is a great application for electric propulsion.
Condella is working to apply its hydrofoil technology in higher capacity water taxis and ferries.
Using the hull of the C8, we have already developed a commercial vessel to be able to carry 8 people. This first prototype, which will be tested in Stockholm in the summer. And then we have another product called the P30 for 30 people. And that's really where the company wants to go in the future. And we have already a lot of interest in different places like Venice and other places in Europe, in lakes.
In China, a 100-meter vessel dubbed the world's largest cruise ship completed its maiden voyage in January. It uses a massive 7,500 kilowatt-hour battery with the intent of carrying up to 1,300 passengers on river tours. However, the ship's range is limited to about 62 miles per charge. Current battery technology limitations make larger-scale applications less viable, but as it improves, we could start to see more ships go battery electric.
Lots of really promising signs are happening with other startup companies, with electrification examples at any little corner of the industry, whether it's a ski boat, whether it's a ferry. There's a ferry out in Thailand that uses 27 DC fast charge stations to charge.
As more consumers opt for electric cars, some are optimistic that electric boats will be the obvious choice too.
The running cost and the maintenance costs are dramatically lower, that's for sure. And if the ride comfort is higher, then it's a no-brainer.
It's not just that it's electric, we've actually created a better experience here. We have less maintenance, we have less overall ownership costs. You don't have to deal with gas, just plug it in at the end of the day.
People are much more conscious of the environment. They want to do things that are in harmony with nature, not in conflict with it. It's an inflection point where people want to find a better way to go boating.